Hey, this is Veronica Wasek with another episode of BK Biz. Can a CPA have a successful bookkeeping business? Can a CPA have a successful bookkeeping business? Well, I'm here to tell you that yes, a CPA can, because as a matter of fact, I am a certified public accountant here in the United States, and I have a successful cloud accounting business in which I work with clients throughout the United States and Canada doing accounting, bookkeeping, and consulting for them. What you have to keep in mind, though, is that then you have to look at the skill set that you have. So if you come from a tax background, then you really need to get familiar with not just accounting and bookkeeping, but what I would call operational accounting. So the day-to-day accounting and bookkeeping. So how do you enter a vendor bill? How do you pay a vendor bill? How do you enter a customer payment? How does the accounting software work? That's very important, not just to know how you handle day-to-day transactions in accounting software, say for example in QuickBooks Online, which is what I specialize in, but how does QuickBooks Online work? Because a lot of the mess ups that we see in QuickBooks Online, for example, come from the fact that business owners who are trying to do their own bookkeeping don't know how to use the software. And so you also have to understand that you might come from a background of doing journal entries, but in QuickBooks Online or QuickBooks, journal entries are really the last type of entry that you would make. You would need to adjust the books at a transactional level. So for example, if an invoice was entered incorrectly, then we might need to edit the invoice. We might need to do a credit memo. We might need to adjust the transactions rather than entering a journal entry, because the journal entry will most of the time mess something up in QuickBooks if that's not the way that QuickBooks is meant to work. So that I would say is the most important. Also, understanding that in QuickBooks, transactions can be edited. They can be changed and they can be deleted. So while that's really the beauty of QuickBooks and that we are not having to make all these journal entries, it's also kind of the curse of QuickBooks because transactions can easily be changed and deleted. So you have to understand that it's probably best to then close the books so that you can keep the client from making any changes that they shouldn't be making. If you come from an audit background and are looking to then start a bookkeeping business, I actually have an audit background, and I have found that experience to be so valuable from the standpoint of knowing the balance sheet inside and out. And as you know, as auditors, that you clean that when the balance sheet is clean, pretty much the profit and loss falls out of that. Understanding the value of cleaning up a balance sheet and cleaning up the profit and loss, I think will definitely help you, because usually we're dealing with clients' books that are messed up. And your average bookkeeper and accountant doesn't really have the understanding that you do in terms of your audit background and understanding that accounts need to be cleaned up and reconciled and cleaned up. So that will definitely help you in having a bookkeeping business and being able to clean up books properly and reconcile them properly and understand that the balance sheet needs to be cleaned up. One of the things that has been was difficult for me in transitioning from CPA to then accounting firm owner is taking the rigidness out of being a CPA and putting that aside, because as CPAs, and at least the sort of background that I come from, everything was about the billable hour, and you have to be efficient, and you have to do things a certain way, and it was very rigid. And what I found, even especially in working with employees, is that they needed more freedom. They needed freedom to collaborate, to exchange ideas, to be more efficient working together, rather than forcing people to just work by themselves, which is how I was taught. You just do things by yourself. And so it's been very interesting for me then to allow my staff to work differently from how I perceive that they should work, allow them the freedom to show me that they can do something better, even though it's different from what I learned. And I think also as CPAs, and especially if we worked in public practice, is that we have been programmed to be these crazy, overworked robots. And what I would encourage you to do in building your accounting and bookkeeping business is to seek to build something different. That was my goal when I started my company, was to really reinvent the accounting firm, to not assume that I have to work 12 hours a day and that I have to work every weekend, and essentially that I'm this accounting martyr. I sought to create something different in which I work no more than 40 hours a week, really, sometimes even 32 hours a week or so. We don't work weekends. We don't work overtime. And it's amazing when you work in an environment where people are happy to come to work, and then they contribute, they grow, and they stay at your company. Again, if you come from public accounting, you know that employees come and go, and it's because they're overworked and underpaid. So I would encourage you then to seek to build a business in which you want to work in and in which employees would want to work in, because you'll be much happier and you will serve your client much better. Now, if you come from a corporate background and you are a CPA, you also have some very good skills that you can apply into starting an accounting business. I have also worked in that environment, and one of the things that you will see that is very familiar to you is probably the monthly closing process, because you're essentially now doing a closing for all of your clients. One thing about corporate accounting that I found was that it was repetitive and predictable. So there is some aspects of that in working in running an accounting and bookkeeping business, but now you're doing it times 10, times 50, times 100 clients, and each client can be different. And so I would encourage you then to think about whether you can deal with all of the moving pieces for all of those clients, and to really work on some good workflow management and practice management, and then to be able to manage the volume that you will see in working with a lot of clients. So I hope that this helps you if you are a CPA and looking to start and run a successful bookkeeping and accounting business. As I said before, I am a CPA. I made that transition, so I know that you can too. There's just some changes that you're going to have to make in order to make it work. I'm Veronica Wasek. If this content is helpful, then make sure that you subscribe to my channel, like this video, leave a comment, and visit my blog at 5minutebookkeeping.com.